Welcome everyone to Better Advertising with Better AMS. I'm your host, Justin Knuckles, and I'm an advertising specialist here at Better AMS, working with some great brands and also getting to talk with some great names here in e-commerce on the podcast. If you're new here, our goal is to help grow and scale online brands through our interviews with brand founders and fellow advertisers. My conversation today is a little outside our normal scope of Amazon and looking at crowdfunding sites, specifically Kickstarter. I caught up with one of our partners here at Better AMS, Josh Leone from the brand Panther Vision. Josh is bringing you all some great advice on how to work with your target audience to develop the best product that will stand apart on Amazon, and how that can also help you as marketers nail down your brand identity in the process, something intangible and emotional that your loyal supporters will connect to more than your newest product. All that said, let's welcome on Josh. I want to start, Josh, by asking you where you started first. Was it Amazon or Kickstarter?
I started Amazon first. Amazon's just always been like obviously the biggest e-commerce shopping site there is, and getting your foothold there and just kind of getting like a good space and like where the e-commerce space or where shoppers are, how to get familiar with like especially e-commerce because it's such like a ever-changing platform. How things were on Amazon like 2 years ago are totally different from what they are now. And yeah, then Kickstarter just kind of came to mind last year.
Oh, so this is a really new thing you guys have been trying out.
Yeah, so this is our second campaign that we have going on, and our first one was for a hand warmer. So yeah, it's all fairly new.
And to give people a little bit of a background, I mentioned your brand name, Panther Vision. What is Panther Vision? What type of products do you sell? I'll let you give your sales pitch.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So Panther Vision is like a lighting outdoor brand. Again, our main focus is just outdoor gear, lighting gear in specific. So we sell these lighted hats, we sell flashlights, and we're kind of like expanding more of like our repertoire, our collection to kind of include more things that have to do with like the outdoor season. So last year we launched a hand warmer, a rechargeable hand warmer that was like IPX waterproof, all this. So it's totally different from what we've been doing now. And it kind of makes me excited working with the company because we're not just tied to lighting gear. We get to expand on much more. And just conversations we had with our engineers so far, we have like more things in the pipeline that just would expand like a lot of the things we're doing now. And yeah, our main focus and our main mission is to bring unconventional solutions to common problems, or uncommon solutions to common problems. And we've done just that with even like the most recent this recent Kickstarter with the adaptive headlamp. It's something that's never been on the market. It's every feedback from our surveys we've gotten from people who've been interested in like learning more. Their main reason of why they're interested in like having this product is because it's nothing they've ever seen in the market before.
That's really cool. And I think a lot of, having worked with you, especially on the audience side of things, I think a lot of people in the hunting side of hunting communities, that is, hikers, anyone that's really outdoorsy, like you said, finds these products really helpful. And just anybody in general now can get into the brand with these hand warmers. So if you're in the Northeast and it's starting to cool off here in the next couple months, go check out Panther Vision. Wanted to circle back to you saying you started with Amazon. What year was that? Take us back to when that was.
I was doing the marketing side, not for Panther Vision, but for like another brand. And that wasn't until like 2018 where I started being familiar with more like their advertising side, more of like their marketing side of how to make a product, how to pitch a product, how to make it presentable on the Amazon algorithm, because it's just like it's its own beast in which like you're supposed to word things, list things. And that's how I got familiar with the Amazon space. It's just kind of learning from what competitors are doing, learning from what I had mentors before, what their best advice was to handle Amazon. But a lot of that has changed over like the past since like 2018 to now 2023. So yeah, that's how I got started, which is literally at first just taking photos of the product, and then I got more and more like pulled into the marketing side of like Amazon, just telling them or just getting familiar with like how the whole marketing system of Amazon works. And for me now, I just feel like I'm very familiar with like how Amazon's, especially like the front of customer facing stuff is. It's all stuff that I've been familiar with, and for me, I'm just used to it and I like it.
What is that, 5 years now in this space? I think that's a technically like veteran status now in the industry. If you've been through at least the
Yeah,
pandemic and a few years before that, dude, you've seen it all now. I mean,
yeah.
technically, it sounds almost like a brand manager where you're like designing the product and then also preparing like a ranking strategy and SEO, etc. Is that kind of all inclusive of what you were doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a jack of all trades when it comes to marketing, and especially with the Amazon side, that sounds exactly what it is, like a brand manager. But I mean, again, for me, I just go wherever I'm needed, which is like I'm totally fine, and I adapt really well to any new spaces. So my first when again back in 2018, it wasn't even I guess in my job description to even handle Amazon, but it just kind of came to me where at first I was just doing like social media posting on Instagram for the brand that I was working with, and then they said, "Hey, why don't you just do this for Amazon?" I'm like, "Okay." So yeah, it just
That's funny. We all kind of stumble into this space. I don't want to say unintentionally, but you know, not with a direct plan to go launch a brand or get into the space, unless that's why you came to Amazon is with a product and brand ready to sell. But I kind of stumbled into it the same way with getting into advertising through a company that was hiring in their e-commerce department, and then was like, holy crap, this Amazon thing is amazing. And then went over to the PL side, similar to you, doing that brand management stuff, and circle back to now Better AMS. So you got a couple more years on me, so I'll still look up to you and your expertise. But I mean, that's the fun thing about Amazon and e-commerce is, like you said, just saying yes to anything. It doesn't matter if it is your role per se, just learning it, trying something new, becoming more of a jack of all trades, like you said.
that's the best way to like kind of learn. It's just like try new things, and even if you
Yeah.
fail, that's it's not a failure unless like you learn from it. So you're just kind of
Yeah.
building more and more of like experience. You're building more and more of like, all right, so this didn't work out, so I'll just do that, and that's the whole basically what I've been doing in marketing. Like if I throw something out there and it doesn't stick, well then let's just try again and do something different.
Those are the brands that win, and anybody that's doing the same thing over and over again obviously is not winning. So that's the key to success, is just testing as much as you can. So translating that to more recent times and getting into Kickstarter, how has being a jack of all trades helped you guys get into Kickstarter? How has it helped you learn it so quickly, having run, I think you said, 2 campaigns now?
Yeah. So now carrying over those skills from Amazon, even from like many years of doing it, it's not an exact translation of going to Kickstarter. There's a lot more things you have to learn about how to phrase your certain product, how to translate the development of your product, because the people on Kickstarter and the audience there aren't there just to shop. They're there to learn about the brand. They're there to learn about the development, and they're there to learn why this is on Kickstarter specifically, because like a brand needs funding in order to kind of get this product launched. You really have to persuade these people to kind of like let them know, hey, like these are the reasons, these are challenges of why we're on Kickstarter, and why we need Kickstarter, and why we need you to kind of back our project, and letting these people know like, hey, this is what makes my product unique, and this is what makes it far newer than anything that's not out in the market right now. Because if you were to list anything on Amazon, it could be a copy and paste off of something that's already pre-existing. And something on Kickstarter, well, now you have to learn about, all right, so beyond just making like an Amazon list, and beyond just making like these really professionally shot photos, I also need to tell these people, hey, this is the history behind our brand, and this is the history behind the development of the product. You know, if the sharing our story kind of makes you want to pledge, please do. And these are the incentive of why you should pledge, because one, you get a really awesome product, and one, you're backing a really great company with some really great incentives into why they're doing what they need to do. And for us, our whole mission is to kind of provide uncommon solution for common problems, as well as just like we're out there people ourselves. So from the people who are within our company, we love doing like outdoor activities. Like a lot of us are hunters, a lot of us are climbers, a lot of us just enjoy the outdoor space. So we need to attach that onto like a Kickstarter story, because they don't call it a product description, they call it like a brand story. And all of that has been really different into transitioning from this Amazon product, this Amazon brand mindset, into doing things on Kickstarter because I mean a lot of the technical stuff like writing the description of the product, writing, you know, what makes it great, what makes it different. Here are like the top 10 features about it. That's all the same. But what makes it really challenging is that story, and that's what hooks people really well. Because in our first campaign was all like Amazon mindset. All right, this is how to list a product. This is how to make the product look really well, and how to make the product like stand out. And then this second and that campaign did okay. It did pretty all right, and we learned from it. And now with this campaign, we put so much focus into the store. We put so much focus into what makes us different, and also just letting people know, the real side of us. Something that kind of hooks people emotionally, like why they should back our project.
I have to imagine that has downstream effects to what you guys are doing then on Amazon as well. And I have to ask, I mean, did that, realizing you needed more of a brand story rather than just a product description, did that force you guys to, I'll call it, do some soul searching as a brand and really identify who you guys were and put that into words?
It really did. Like that was like a big challenge, a big exercise between like me, the other people in the company, just because this brand has been around for a while, but they're really well at having the product, but it's having the source of like the story, having the source of the soul of the company was something we had to find exactly like what you were saying. And I think for me, it kind of makes me feel more connected with the brand myself too, just because I'm like, I realize, these are the values we hold. These are the challenges we share as a company. And Amazon, you don't really, I mean, you could see that, but you don't really see that as often. You just see like, I don't know, just the product itself. And I mean, that's cool and all, but one would also want to hear about the brand itself.
I know Amazon is moving way more in that direction in terms of providing upper funnel opportunities for brands to really show that lifestyle and relate with their audience and show that emotional story. So having that in place is such a good proactive spot to be for you guys, and that's really good that Kickstarter forced the function on it. So going back to kind of that benefit, how that carried over to Amazon, what else has helped carry over to the success of Amazon? What have you done on Kickstarter that's kind of maybe accelerated your product launch then on Amazon?
One, it kind of like has us identify a demographic. It helps us identify who we're selling it to in a much more grander preparation, because Amazon does have these programs in order to kind of lift off your product, but you also need to do a lot of back end work in order to kind of get that started. I think it's called like Amazon Live or Amazon Border Run, where like you have your product into a program in which like beta testers kind of test your product, but it's very minimal. And from other product launches that we've had purely just on Amazon is not the same scale in which we've had when we've done a Kickstarter and then transition off to Amazon, because Kickstarter just works as a pre-order system, but it also identifies, all right, this is our product, this is our voice, this is our aesthetic that we're going for, this is the feedback that we've already received from the product, even though it hasn't even been out yet. This is the type of feedback we're looking for. Some of the we have people saying, hey, like is this reason, like a lot of the mistakes or a lot of the comments we've heard from our past product launch onto this product launch, we implemented really well. People complained that our hand warmer weren't USB-C rechargeable. People complained that it wasn't IP67 waterproof. And just kind of these list of suggestions, a lot of these lists of criticisms, right? And for us, that really helped us. That really challenged us to make a better product, and that's what made like this new product, the adaptive headlamp, a lot better, just the way it is right now. But we're also receiving a lot more feedback, in which we wouldn't get from just launching it from Amazon, right? Doing it on Kickstarter just helps us identify, one, our demographic, identifies more of our product strength, our product weakness, and then our opportunity we can go in order to kind of, once we do get started on Amazon and listing the product on Amazon, one, we already know that we have an audience, we have demand, we found the demand, and we get to redirect it onto Amazon instead of, once the Kickstarter is done, we get to redirect them onto to Amazon itself.
So I should have stopped and gone down the Kickstarter 101 at the very beginning of this, but I think people can piece together how it is, or how it works, what it is, etc. from what we've already said so far. But before going into any other questions, let's run through a few. So Kickstarter is a crowdfunding website that you pre-sell a product on. Is that a fair synopsis?
Yeah.
And does this product have to be manufactured, ready to sell, or can it be kind of like a prototype, like a not a drawing per se, but pre-manufacturing?
Yes, it doesn't have to be its ready-made final version. When we right now the version that we have going on right now is not the complete version. We've made many revisions, and it's 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 a way for for a person to kind of push a product out, push an idea out, and just kind of get it funded, get it started, and eventually get it ready for production.
And when you say you run a campaign on Kickstarter, that really just means that whole product launch process, right? Of listing a product, generating feedback, generating pre-sales, and then eventually coming to market with that. That is a campaign, correct?
Yes,
And how long does that process typically take?
about a year
On
or
on Kickstarter specifically, how long does that process take? I should have been more specific.
yeah, on Kickstarter, it's from conception to where we are now. The whole preparation took about a year, but we've had like the product in mind for about 2 years already, and kind of getting started with, all right, this is the product. Okay, how for me as a marketer, I have to know exactly, all right, what is this product? What does it do? How are we going to find its voice, find its message, and find what makes it unique? How do we communicate that? All that takes about a few months to do. But then the other challenge is building up hype for it. Before we even push live on Kickstarter, we have to build out a list of what we like to call our VIP audience. And that VIP audience are people that we have to just kind of let, whether it be like Facebook ads, whether it be Google ads, make hype in order for that Kickstarter to kind of really take off. Because if there's no initial hype and you just push live on Kickstarter, you're not going to get the amount of pre-sales you want, and you're not going to get you're not going to raise funds in which like you kind of wish for. You really have to put in the work, 90% of the work before you even hit launch.
Interesting. That sounds really similar to Amazon, where there's a lot of pre-launch kind of hype and prep you got to put to a successful product launch. Is that really to help get it buzzing on the page and people see, hey, this is a new product that people are really excited about? Is it really for those purposes?
Yeah, it's really for that, but also again just to kind of build momentum and like kind of feed the algorithm to like know like, hey, this is a really popular product with people who are searching it up. And as of now, I mean, we're really just kind of showing Kickstarter itself that, hey, this is the product that people really want. So now it's just showing us organically on their top hardware page.
And talking about feedback and all of that data you're getting from Kickstarter, this is feedback that people are just getting from looking at the detail page, or I'm going to call it a detail page, rather than touching, using the product, seeing what it, is like in practice, correct? This is just reviewing the page and looking at pictures and videos.
Exactly. We get to list out the product as detailed as possible, just so again, it's a pre-order, so they're not going to get this product up until like months later. So being well informed way beyond what you're going to get. I mean, we have to be prepared with that information, and yeah, we really, again, that's the part of the challenge too. That's different from Amazon, is that you have to really be as detailed as possible, and these people have to wait months up until they actually get that product in hand.
Yeah, based on what you're putting in the description, what you're putting in the images, people can let you know right off the bat what they don't like, which will then save you a ton of negative reviews and a ton of returns then on Amazon later on. So have you guys seen that
Oh
with
yeah,
any
for
of your
sure.
past campaigns? Is it having a better return rate, better ratings and reviews on those products?
Yeah, I mean, with the past campaign that we did for Kickstarter, and then once we changed it up to redirect to Amazon, we just kind of saw that same negative feedback in which we kind of like didn't really pay attention to, or just kind of thought that it was just like feedback that I guess in our minds had like just it held some value, but we didn't take any action with the first product. And then once it actually went live on Amazon, we received those common feedbacks that we did receive on Kickstarter. And if we did address those before if we addressed those concerns before it hit, Amazon, we probably wouldn't have gotten that same like negative feedback or those same like what do you call it criticisms about the product. So yeah, I mean like a lot of our tech was like could have been improved upon way before it went on Amazon.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think incorporating that feedback is such a good benefit of Kickstarter to, like you said, just have a more successful product launch when you get to the big market, which is Amazon. So last question specifically on Kickstarter. Are you fulfilling packages or fulfilling products, that is, in packages through Kickstarter, or are these pre-sales carry over to Amazon? Like, hey, this will be live on Amazon, XYZ date, or is it fulfilled through somewhere else?
It's fulfilled through somewhere else where we work with a separate third-party system that works with Kickstarter, and that in itself is its own fulfillment process.
Got it. I just wanted to clarify that in case, I didn't know myself, but in case anyone was thinking, hey, I could generate, thousands of orders in demand and have it all go live on Amazon. Not quite. If you get the sale on Kickstarter, it sounds like you're fulfilling through Kickstarter, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. How have you found like any overlap between what you're doing on Kickstarter to Amazon? Have you seen future opportunities for more product launches? How do you guys plan on using that in the future? Like, what is the overlap strategy going forward?
Again, just identifying like our voice, identifying our audience, which makes it a lot more easier to kind of run with ads, just kind of have that same voice and just kind of know where to go. Just because when you have a product launch, it's already like identified its weaknesses, its strength, its audience, its purpose, and why it's even like why the product's even there. It's become a lot more of an easier process to kind of list that right on Amazon, because I'm sure that same preparation is done when one is doing a product launch on Amazon. But once you have that preparation on the Kickstarter, it becomes a lot more easier for that process, much more streamlined. And yeah, and again, just as an organic ranking, people are already like searching and looking through our stuff on Kickstarter on Amazon. So then once we are listed on Amazon, we already kind of built up that organic search on there. Like it kind of helps with people knowing, or just like the Amazon system know that people are searching for this exact product under our name. And it really helped us get a lot more opportunity on Amazon last year because we were able to get into like certain holiday catalogs when this product was just barely new. But just because they knew that we had such great success on Kickstarter, those gates were easier to open. And yeah, that's one of the benefits of doing Kickstarter first and then having a strategy on Amazon.
I feel like as a marketer, you probably have read the book or heard of it, been suggested it. Closing the Chasm, I believe, is the title. It was one of like the first marketing books I ever read right out of college. But have you ever come across that before?
No.
I recommend it. So, and to everybody in the marketing world here, it's a great book about specifically product launches and getting a product past like your early adopters, your innovators, the people that are on Kickstarter funding projects over to the mainstream market, which is, people searching on Amazon or searching the shelves at Target and Walmart, that mainstream market, and how you get, just a little bit of hype blown up to the mainstream. And it really sounds like it's really relevant to what you guys are doing here at Kickstarter. Or with Kickstarter. So highly recommend that. Throw that on your reading list, maybe for next year. But how much more popular have you seen Kickstarter become since you guys started? Only a year ago or so, but do you see it growing in popularity, or what changes do you foresee in the coming year or 2 years?
There's so many like supporting programs that help a person lift themselves up onto this Kickstarter ecosystem. Again, it goes back to these third-party people that we've been working with, and even hearing interviews and even like talking to other mentors in this Kickstarter space, because the amount of people I've talked to in preparation to kind of get more feedback on our Kickstarter page in order for me to understand, this community, this platform, I had to talk to like Kickstarter veterans that have been on the space for like 10 years or like 15 years, and they've really just explained to me that this whole Kickstarter space is a great way to kind of lift up ideas, and it's a great way to like find your foot, find your soul into like what the brand is, what the product is. And hearing that, it's been there for a while, and just seeing how much demand and how much growth that they've seen themselves. I can only know so much because I've only been there for a year, but just relaying what they've told me is that it's become more of a well-known name. And I actually follow the CEO on Kickstarter or on LinkedIn, just trying to find like some new updates on the platform and seeing how much they're updating their space. It seems like a very lively community, and it seems like a very lively space in which the only direction they're going is just like up, with the amount of people who are actually joining their space. And some of these third-party companies that we've worked with in order to kind of get the right direction, in order to kind of find, all right, this is our foothold. They work with thousands of other entrepreneurs who are trying to get their foothold as well on Kickstarter, and just knowing that that's the amount that are even trying to be on Kickstarter had me realize how big this Kickstarter space was. Because a year ago, I mean, I've heard of the name Kickstarter, but I've never really thought about it. I only knew it as a place where people sell games, or people like get funding to like for like board games or like video games. That's all I've known in my history about it. But once I really started looking more into it, it's much more larger than that. And it once you start working with the actual Kickstarter community, and actually start listing something on there, you get to realize how vast and how ever changing the platform is. And hearing these veterans and hearing like what their experience was 5-10 years ago makes you realize, wow, this is a growing space, and this is where I guess an untapped, for me, just coming from my perspective, is an untapped area in which one is able to kind of make ideas, create ideas, and actually pitch it out and see if it actually resonates with some sort of audience out there. And seeing that Kickstarter was a space in order to kind of do that is awesome. And I do want to give credit where credit's due, that Kickstarter isn't the first platform to ever do this. I believe it was Indiegogo that did it first, and that's a similar platform. But Kickstarter just, I guess, had a better way to kind of make it bigger than it actually was for crowdfunding. And yeah, that's if I would say check out. I actually do have a book written by some creators on Kickstarter, but it's just goes into development of like how much is needed in order to kind of get your way into Kickstarter. But even reading that book that was written like 2 years ago, a lot of it just doesn't apply to it right now, especially like with features and new ways that people are actually like growing their space. That this is why like me and the people that I work with had to seek out other consultations on Kickstarter, just because it's a space that's ever growing. It's a space that does not stay the same. And I'm really happy about that, because I mean, it's kind of the same way as Amazon. Everything's changing for a reason. It's only changing in order to kind of grow.
Well, I'm glad to hear everyone over in the Kickstarter community is just as nice, if not nicer, than us over here in the Amazon community. I'll have to go say hello over there someday. I've always wanted to learn a little bit more, so this conversation is the most I've learned yet of Kickstarter, so I'm going to have to continue this journey.
Maybe if you want to launch your product.
Yeah, I need to come up with a product idea and hit you up for some counsel. But having listened to that, man, I mean, 1 year in the space and having learned all of that, I mean, got to be living like dog years in e-commerce here. 1 year is equal to 7 years, because that is a lot. It's a lot of progress and a lot of mentorship you've gained in just 1 year. So also, before I have to re-record a footnote for this episode, it was Crossing the Chasm is the book. I just looked up the title. It is not Closing the Chasm. It was Crossing the Chasm. There is the book I'll recommend to you, my man. But one of my final questions here before we wrap up is, I think you've given a ton of advice in your last answer specifically to brands trying to bridge the gap into crowdfunding, maybe looking to get started on it. Any final words of wisdom for people looking to succeed on platforms like Kickstarter if they already have an Amazon brand?
If they already have an Amazon brand, just like that's a space to kind of like test out new things, and like one can get adjusted to kind of having their own headspace of like what their brand is, what their brand represents, and having a chance to kind of explore and do something different is really fun. It's really exciting to do. And seeing how different a new platform is great, because I mean, you could have a website, you could have like an Amazon space, and that was the case for us. But having a presence on Kickstarter, or having a presence on just crowdfunding in general, it's an opportunity to kind of seek out new things, and also an opportunity to go learn. Like even if you don't raise the funds that you want to raise, you get to learn a lot about the space of crowdfunding. You get to learn a lot about the space of like, again, like soul searching from like the way in the beginning, because like us as a brand, we didn't have that. We lacked a lot of that soul. We lacked a lot of that brand story. We lacked a lot of what people were seeking out, and having a foot in these different spaces really makes you kind of internally realize, all right, this is the man that they need. This is what they're looking out of us, but we don't have that in this space. So now we have to kind of exercise our thinking caps and just go at it and just kind of be creative, look for that opportunity and see where we can grow or where we can learn. And I think for me as a very young adult, I just like, obviously you don't want to stick to the same thing over and over again. You like to do like things that are different. You like to explore and stuff like that. And having Kickstarter is a space to kind of like express that, and express like what different ideas are. Where you can kind of push the boundaries of your brand, your products. That's exciting. And I feel like with Amazon, you kind of just get stuck in this like but stuck in this mold of like who your brand is and what your brand represents. And that's great. That's awesome. But maybe challenging yourself and challenging your brand into something different, who knows, it can lead into better opportunities.
Yeah, I'm not naming names, but if you've launched your last 3 products and they look identical to your competitors, maybe, just maybe, look at Kickstarter and come up with some new ideas.
Do something different.
It's definitely...
Like, it's just, yeah.
It's definitely a great way to, I don't want to say no risk, but lower risk, test some new ideas and products, and see if you're going to have, a unique selling proposition over on Amazon.
Exactly.
So, dude, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for your time today, giving us your happy hour, 5 o'clock where you are, to talk about Kickstarter and your experience with it. We'll talk again soon, offline here, but thanks again so much for being here today, dude.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Cheers, and see us next time.